that I've covered this week and those that are pending and we wish may come. Uganda is like a school that we have a script and we have a teaching curriculum. There are some things that you look at and you know, if I'm seeing this, the next day I may see this, and your prophecy may come true. At a certain percentage, you may be a prophet of doom, and the worst comes and the good comes. But all in all, we have to look at our country as a motherland and where we're going to be and where we are not going to live at just a glimpse of an eye. As we summarize, Kunda, something that looked to be small as just an iceberg. You understand when we talk about an iceberg, something you see small but it's big down. It is mushrooming in minds of people. And I'm trying to guess, and I'm going to be convinced, at a level of political maturity, Uganda will lie. Every time when we are closing to the next election, we get different projects. I call them projects because they have funders, they have supporters, and sometimes their leaders, the lead of the side projects, tend sometimes to hide their decisions and their faces and their intent to the destiny of the project. We had birthdays of the Commander Land Forces, Lieutenant General Muhoozi Kainerugaba. And we thought it is just done. I had a program here with some of the people in that camp, and the body they told us, they told the audience of Baba TV that the birthdays are going to move from district to district. That Ugandans have appreciated to make birthdays, those parties for Lieutenant General. And I did ask, shall them still be birthdays or they will be activations? On the state dinner, the head of state for Rwanda, President Paul Kagame, he was here as a friend after 4 years of not coming to Uganda when we have those contradictions and conflict. With me here, I have news that the head of state of Kenya, President Uhuru Kenyatta, will attend still another function of a birthday celebration of the same general. Yesterday, retired Colonel Dr. Kizza Besigye, the premier of People's Front for Transition, the president of People's Government, and an activist, once a presidential candidate for long, boldly said, as them opposition, they are not ready to allow Lieutenant General Muhoozi Kainerugaba to stand for presidency in 2026. A word which I have not heard from Lieutenant General Muhoozi Kainerugaba, but it's coming to stand. Are these voices trying to tell us that they are supporting the silent general to boldly come and speak something he has not wished? Or it is something silent that I'm not understanding, that you have 4 eyes you could clearly to explain to us?
It's a different prospect. I'll endeavor. I don't think that I'll give you answers that are from heaven, but I'll give you answers that I think are correct as far as I know.
Yeah.
First of all, for me, there are certain contradictions to begin with. First contradiction is that no serving army officer can be able to mobilize the kind of birthday parties, the kind of visits of other heads of states, the kind of public euphoria, so to say, a match between top UPDF officers and the parliament for the general, and you are still serving in the army. I can, for example, I have given this example before somewhere. If another army officer, even at the rank of a general, was doing the same things that Afandi Kainerugaba is doing, that officer would be under detention.
If another general?
Yes, would be under detention, because that
for reasons?
That's violating the UPDF Act, because you are doing things which are political and you're not supposed to be political. Now, for him, what he has said, he has done.
Perhaps there are other people organizing that on your behalf, and
you have to give them consent.
That continue.
You have to give them consent. They can't do it. And you know, I sit on a radio station where quite a number of people are part of Muhoozi's organizing group, and they are very bold about it, because let me first put it this way. Muhoozi is entitled to birthday parties. He is entitled.
As another human
being, as a Ugandan, and in particular as a son of Uganda. But the point of questioning is he doing it as the commander of the land forces? Is he doing it as a special presidential advisor? Is he doing it as a first son?
Why quote all those titles?
Because they're all his. They're all his titles. So if we divided them, if he's doing it as the commander of the land forces, then that one has quite a serious understanding that needs to be attached to it as to the code of conduct of UPDF officers under the law. Then if he does that as a first son, that's understandable. First son of the president of a country, he can do those things. But the problem is that all the three are enmeshed. They are being done concurrently. So the point is,
just among the three titles,
special
presidential advisor, commander land forces, and the first son. What if one blocks him from doing them? Can't the two outweigh the one, so that they can go on?
It depends on which one is much important. All the three to him are very important. But for us, the public, the most important one is one, the commander of the land forces.
That's where you love him so much.
I mean, he's commanding land forces that are protecting us as the citizens of this country. Being a first son, anyone can become a first son if your father somehow becomes a president. Being a special presidential advisor, there are so many that sometimes people say that it's the president who advises them and they don't advise the president.
That's kind of
So now, so the point is, the second part which you're asking is about the politics, the political evolution of what is happening, and what Dr. Besi just said. Muhoozi Kainerugaba, as a Ugandan, is entitled to stand for president. If he has the qualification, he is entitled to stand as a president. If he has the qualification, the age, he has the consent of the different requirements by the Electoral Commission, he is entitled. The only difference is, if he is getting to become a presidential candidate, is hinged upon using state resources, using resources of the connection between him and the president, or being the first son, so to say, and not resigning and getting out of the army, because you can't be doing that when you're still in the army. That is the only condition that I find that is problematic. But the rest of the things, like in Ugandan, even you're entitled to stand as a president. Does it matter who your father is? No.
No. We saw a one Katumba who stood just in the recent. As a layman, if I say that, if I see another head of state coming on a birthday celebration, there is something that tickles in my mind on that kind of respect accorded to a person. Heads of state don't just move.
Really, you have to be able to think deep and understand why.
Can we call it friendship and that relationship?
If you see, I think Kainerugaba has crafted his own friendship with those heads of states, and they are particular. If he had, for example, if Salva Kiir had come for his birthday, I would have become a little bit, surprised. But in the past, Kainerugaba has visited President Uhuru Kenyatta. And there were only two of them in a particular room. Kainerugaba has visited President Paul Kagame. And he calls him uncle. And if anything, there is no person, if you look in social media, that he has been very close to Kagame and Rwanda, like Muhoozi Kainerugaba. And also the much praises that he gives to President Uhuru Kenyatta as my elder brother and good friend. In a diplomatic thinking, for a head of state to go for a birthday, it speaks volumes. Because
the birthday and the head of state look to be so far from...
Exactly, because I'm told, actually one of the things I was told is that even at the Uganda government wasn't even exactly very aware that President Kagame was going to come, and they had to rush very quickly to do a state dinner because it would look awkward for him to be in the country and is not received by the head of state, but rather is received by the command of the land forces and the first son, and then the head of state is not there to interact with him. So it had to be something that was done very quickly. And I'm certainly sure the same is going to happen today for Uhuru, because Uhuru is supposed to be here today for the party they have at the golf course in Entebbe. So it is unprecedented. I've never had anything before like that. That international diplomacy, or even regional diplomacy, is run through birth parties. But this one now is a redefinition of how exactly we are now made to understand who Muhoozi or where he's moving to. Certainly by the time he brings two heads of states for only his birthday, what about when he's beginning his political campaigns? Who will he bring?
Are you trying, is that a foundation that someone is trying to build to show a class above in the political race that we may see? Or we are bound to change the name of the parties, that it's no longer birthday because of the diplomatic arrangements that are now coming?
I mean, it just shows, okay, remember, the relations between Rwanda and Uganda had stalled for what? Since 2019. So Muhoozi comes up and does whatever he does, and so for him, in his understanding, he is a statesman. He has reached that level of thinking that he's a statesman. So what you do is that you progress from being a statesman, knowing that I can invite a president of a sister country and it comes for my function, a birthday, and at the same time, then after some time, it's easy for you to come up and say, you know what, I think I now have the credentials that are necessary for me to run even this country.
Richard Akon, Dr. Kizza Besigye, and the members of People's Front for Transition, we are trying to send a communication to Ugandans. Let's not allow this. And they say, what are you trying to block? Yet it is not seen.
No.
You are blocking water, which is not seen, and you are telling people, don't allow water flowing in your room, and people are saying, what is the water that you are telling us to block? The gentleman has not boldly said, I want this. It's in his birthday celebrations. And for you interpreting, and your interpretation is, you've stamped on them and you've
But you see, Samuel, it's not just the significance of the birthdays. The president has had birthdays, right? They're not celebrated.
I remember
like
there is one birthday which was gone. Some people organized it,
oh, yes.
and they were stopped.
Those ones were mocking him when they were putting their different age on a cake.
Yeah.
But the point is, even as a person who is the president, the sitting head of state, you don't do those parties. There were one in Shema done by my very good friend MP Michael Mawanda. There was one in Ivanda. So there were many spread all over the country. There was Fort Portal. The question being, why? Why all those parties in different parts of the country? What are you trying to demonstrate? Are you trying to say that And the statements, Ugandans love me, they are making parties, and these parties are spontaneous. Birthday parties can't be spontaneous. You are only 48. You're not even 50. At least be 50 so that we can know this is a mark. You are, you know, half a century. But the spontaneity seems as if it is organized. And
but it was as if it was late, that we cannot make 50 because as we make 50, time will be after us.
Time will have gone. But the point is, it has an entire committee, which committee is working on making sure that all those parties are done. Now, if you're clever and you're a political strategist, you'll be able to gauge, in these places where I'm getting these parties, what is the mood like? What do the people think about me? What do the people, who are the different strata of populations that are interested in my party? Are they the youth? Are they the women? Are they the elderly? Who are the people that are interested? Do I cut across? In other words, you are building your own profile to be able to say, okay, in about, we are in what? In 2022, right? In 4 years' time, if 2026 becomes the real year, I will have built enough momentum for me to say, you know what, my people, the ones that were doing my parties, have asked me to stand and become a president.
As a statement which is made by politicians in Uganda here.
Yes.
That people ask.
They asked me, they forced me, I didn't even want to stand.
As they forced me to, they organized for me. In other words, as we do wrap up this talk, you know, it is a kind of talk that the owners understand when we talk about it. For them, they understand it. But the rest of the public still question and say, what is the destiny of that talk? If it is real, the reality, that is a political move, isn't this setting a bad precedence? That it is how Ugandan is perceived, and we get leaders out of meandering and disguise, and we don't look at the credentials as other countries do. You look at other countries when they are choosing leaders. They don't meander. You don't disguise. When you say, I want this, and they look at you, and then they say, what are you bringing on table? What are the problems of the country? Now, like Uganda, what are the problems of Uganda?
But he has already told you, Samuel, at the speech that he made at Lugogo Oval, he said the biggest problem in Uganda is that the youth unemployment, and we are going to create so many sporting facilities to be able to absorb the youth that are unemployed. So clearly he understands what he's aiming at. He's trying to solve the problems before he gets into them. And his identification of the youth, for me, it's very interesting because it has an element of getting into Bobby Wine and his NOP movement, because if he's clever enough, he's thinking that this is the movement that might become my biggest rival if anything happens because of the youth factor. So if you are keen on listening and interrogating what he's saying, you can tell that actually what he's doing is political.
Looking at the youths.
Yes.
Still with the presence of the NOP, and the premier has not put his hands down. Can it be a safer mood for the next general election?
Let me say, I mean, recently I was speaking to a group of you. I think